today's video, we're going to be building a 5-color room commander deck with this copy of Marina Vendrell that I got at my pre-release last week. And we're going to be using the animated army precon and combining this precon alongside the miracle worker precon to build a 5-color room commander deck. And the thing is that inside the miracle worker precon, what you'll notice is that there are actually rooms included inside this deck. And Aminatou cares all about enchantments, so she's going to help to reduce the cost of the rooms inside the 5-color room deck that we end up building. And what you're going to notice here with some of the rooms inside this deck is that they have one side, this is an enchantment by the way, they have one side that is cheaper and then one side that is more expensive. And generally the side that is more expensive costs more, or at least 4 mana, which means that if we get Bello into play, Bello is going to turn our rooms, which are enchantments, and they're going to become a 4/4 elemental creature in addition to its other types, and has indestructible and haste. And whenever this creature does combat damage to a player, we get to draw a card. So not only are we going to be able to play the rooms early, we're going to be able to manipulate them with Marina Vendrell and unlock the rooms and gain card advantage off of Marina. And on top of that, we're going to be able to hit our opponents with our rooms and draw cards with Bello. And it also helps that during the pre-release, I was able to pull a ton of different rooms that I can use inside this commander deck. So we're going to be loaded with rooms. And the mana base, what you'll notice is that this is red, green, and this is white, blue, and black, which means that we have all 5 colors. So the mana bases in each of these decks are already sufficient enough to support a 5-color deck when I combine the mana bases. So what we're going to do first is look through the miracle worker precon and find all the cards inside this deck, specifically the rooms or any cards that may reduce the mana cost of our enchantments and maybe allow us to draw cards off of enchantments. We're going to take those cards and put those cards off to the side. So because this is a 5-color commander deck, in order for us to play our commander efficiently on turn 5, we need to make sure that we have all 5 colors in play by turn 5. So luckily for us inside this commander deck, there are cards like Burnished Heart and Solemn Simulacrum, as well as all the other dual lands that are going to help us to manipulate the different colors that we have on the battlefield. It also helps that there's a copy of Moon Blessed Cleric inside this precon so that we can search our library for enchantment and put it on the top of our library. So if we want to end the game with a fear of sleep paralysis, or if we have Bello in play, we can look for a Soaring Lightbringer to give all our enchantment creatures flying so that we can just knock somebody out of the game. So now that we pulled the cards that are going to help us draw cards, we also got the lands over here as well. We're going to do our best to look through the animated army precon and try to find cards that are going to beef up these enchantments and allow us to win the game through damage. We're still focusing on getting our mana set correctly, so cards like Sakura Tribalder helps us look for the lands that we need, and a Trail Tracker Scout or Llanowar Loam Speaker helps us to add any mana of any color that we need. And we're still going to be casting a ton of enchantments, so cards like Primeval Bounty are going to put +1/+1 counters on our creatures as we cast them. Wild Seer is going to give our enchantments Cascade, and then Kodama of the Eastery is going to let us cheat enchantments into play as we cast them. Enchantments like Unnatural Growth and Gratuitous Violence are going to buff the amount of damage that we can deal with our creatures, which could end up being one-shot game-winning plays during the games that I play with this deck. So in the end, what we're left here is 36 lands. We have 15 cards that provide card advantage. We have 13 removal spells. We have 5 cards that are going to buff our creatures and cause us to win the game. We then have 23 creatures and cards that create creatures that are enchantments. And then we have 6 spells that are just strictly ramp. So what I'm going to do now is sleeve all these cards up, and we're going to play the deck right now so we can see how everything works. And you guys can decide whether you guys want to build this or not. I'm not going to tell you this deck is going to be amazing or anything, but let's see what we got. So now that the deck is built and sleeved, what we're going to do is play test this commander deck to see how well I can build commander decks with these precons. Okay, so remembering that our commander is Marina, Vendrell, we have Bello and Aminatou in this deck. Hopefully we draw into them. But when we cast Marina, just remember that we get to look at the top 7 cards of our library, and we get to grab all enchantments from among them, put them into our hand. Most importantly, we can tap Marina to lock or unlock a room, and then what we can basically do is abuse the triggers from us being able to do that, which is very fun. So we're gonna go ahead. I'm gonna just cut this so you guys know this is completely random, so that we can really test my deck building skills. So the opening hand is gonna be a restricted office, which is essentially a board wipe, and a lecture hall, which gives all our permanents hexproof, which is cool. We have a Gruul Turf, we have another land, we have another land, we have another land, we have, oh, I thought I was gonna say another land again. 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5 6. One more card is 7. Aminatou's Augury. I think we kind of do have ramp here. I'm just happy that we have lands to play with, so we're just gonna go ahead and start with this. Hopefully we draw into artifact, the ramp, or something over here. We'll draw into a doll maker shop for our first draw and a porcelain gallery. So we'll just go ahead and add this to our hand somewhere. We're gonna first get the Thriving Isle onto the battlefield, calling black. So that'll enter tapped, and then we're gonna go ahead and pass the turn. We'll untap and draw into a Cinder Glade. We've got a lot of red land here and green land here. So we'll have that enter our hand. I think we'll just play the Cinder Glade tapped actually, and then we'll have this enter tapped, and then unfortunately we're just gonna pass the turn there because we don't really have a play here. We have a Trail Tracker Scout, which I'm very happy to draw into because he lets us fix our mana essentially. So I'm not even gonna think about this. I'm just gonna tap 2. We'll play that Scout so that we can tap for a mana of any color next turn. And looking at our hand, we have 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 cards in hand. We'll just get the Gruul Turf onto the battlefield, and then we'll bring back the Thriving Isle. That way I can adjust what land. Actually, no, we'll bring back the Thriving Isle, and then we'll go ahead and pass a turn there. We'll draw into a Meat Locker, which is going to be really good to abuse with our commander, and a Drowned Diner. So that'll go to our hand. And then in this situation here, we have 1 2 3 4 mana we can use this turn. What we're going to do is tap 4. We'll play the Badger. This is going to enter. We're gonna, at the beginning of our end step, we're gonna create a 1/1 green sapling creature token that we can tap for a green mana. We're also gonna play that Thriving Isle again, tapped, calling white mana this time, and then we would go ahead and pass turn and create our token as we untap. Let's create that token real quickly though. So we do have this Saproling here now. We'll draw for turn into a Fear of Sleep Paralysis, which is going to let us stun more creatures, which is kind of a theme that we're seeing here right now. So let's go ahead and put this to our hand. Because we do have 2 or more lands in play, this is just going to enter the battlefield untapped, which is nice. So we're going to play the Evolving Wilds because I need to grab an island so that this can just straight up tap for white mana. So we're going to sack this and we're going to look for the island. I know there's an island inside this deck. So now that we have this island in play, we can basically guarantee that we can cast our commander next turn. So let's just set up our commander in a good position. So we're gonna go ahead and tap 3. We're gonna cast our first room for the game, and we're gonna get a Meat Locker onto the battlefield so that we're gonna tap 1 target creature and put 2 stun counters on it so it doesn't untap. So that'll enter. This door is still locked. And then what we're gonna do is pass a turn. We're gonna create another Saproling over here. Also, during that previous turn, we could have tapped 2 and played the Dollmaker's Shop, which lets us create a creature whenever we attack with a non-toy creature. So let's just imagine that we did that as well during our previous turn. And then we will untap right now. And then we will draw into a Carpless and Forest. We got a lot of, I gotta change the amount of red-green mana. I mean, like, just drawing into so much red-green mana right now. Maybe just more basic lands. Let's just get the Copperline Gorge onto the battlefield. So what we're gonna do right now is tap red, green, white, blue, black for 5 total mana. We'll cast our commander Marina, which is gonna force us to look at the top 7 cards of our library. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And all enchantments that we see are gonna go into our hand. Not an enchantment. Aminatou's famously not an enchantment. Terminus, Wandering Mentor, Solemn Simulacrum. We completely whiff here, which is hilarious that would happen, but as is the things that happen in Magic the Gathering. So that's gonna happen. And then now that we didn't get any cards, what we can now do is nothing, because that just happened. Unfortunately, right here, we're just gonna have to pass the turn. We are gonna create another Saproling. I'm not gonna draw this one. I'm just gonna keep this here. And then at least we have a board state, which is nice. We'll draw into another Gruul land that's gonna enter our hand. And then what we'll do is, I wish there was a way we could go for Aminatou's Augury and just really try to fill up our board right now so that we can do things. Or we can get Fear of Sleep Paralysis to just be really annoying. And I'm thinking right now that that's what we're gonna do. So we're gonna play the Fear of Sleep Paralysis. So whenever this enters, whether enchantment we control enters, or whether we fully unlock a room, we can tap up to 1 creature and put a stun counter on it. But most importantly, stun counters can't be removed, which is devastating. So they're just forever tapped, basically. So that'll stay there. So something just got stunned. We'll tap Marina to lock the Meat Locker. And then we can pay 1, 2, 3 mana. We can unlock the Meat Locker, put another stun counter on another creature. Because we unlocked a room, that's going to trigger the Fear of Sleep Paralysis, which is going to force us to tap down another creature, and then that creature is going to be stunned. And we can deal 3 damage to somebody during combat, which, you know, just take that. And then we'll go ahead and pass the turn here. We're gonna end up creating another Saproling, and I think that you guys are getting the hang of what the deck is gonna do. You know, I can't really say that this deck is really functional. We do have a really nice combo right here. That's really, the Sigil of the Empty Throne, which is gonna be devastating with this combo that we have over here. So how about we put that into our hand? I don't think that we played a land during our last turn, so let's just imagine that we did that and that this enters tapped during this turn. And how about we tap the Trail Tracker for a white mana here, and then this will be a other white mana, and then 3, 4, and then a Saproling for 5. We'll cast a Sigil of the Empty Throne, which is gonna trigger the Fear of Sleep Paralysis. So we're gonna stun another creature, and then we can tap Marina to lock the Meat Locker, to pay 3 mana, to then unlock the Meat Locker. Because we're technically casting it, that's gonna trigger the Sigil. So then we're gonna create a 4/4 Angel. But let me just draw the Angel real quick. So we get a 4/4 Angel, And then what we're gonna do is that's also gonna trigger the fear again. So we're gonna stun another thing, and then we'll deal, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 damage to somebody. And then we will, but you guys are seeing, let's see what we draw into during our next turn. Another land. And, you know, you're kind of seeing the way the deck is going. You know, I can continue to lock and unlock the meat locker with our commander to continue to stun things. And then we're just going to continuously be creating angels as we do that. And then so on and so forth. And then at some point I could cast the lecture hall from our hand, which is going to give all of our permanents hexproof, which is just going to really solidify the board state that we have and really just, you know, overwhelm our opponents in the advantages of cards that we have on the board over here. And I think it works pretty well. And if at some point we were able to draw into Bello, we would have been able to turn all of our enchantments that cost over 4 mana into creatures, and then we could just start attacking. And really, this card just kind of acts like a Craterhoof Behemoth inside this deck. Makes our enchantments indestructible, 4/4s that we can deal damage to people with and draw cards. I'm actually pleasantly surprised. I think that actually went pretty well. So let me know what you think about the deck in the comment section below. If you have any specific ways or any cards you would like to use to upgrade this deck, let everyone know in the comment section below, because there may be some people that see this and then decide to combine the commander decks in the same way, okay? Always remember, everybody, I always say the same thing when I end these videos because I am a life coach. Always remember, everybody, eat healthy, okay? Work out every single day, even if it's just for 5 minutes, okay? Most importantly, you gotta remember to believe in yourself. When I say just 5 minutes, you know, you have to keep in mind that when we're talking about exercising, like if you were to take a personal training exam, the exam would ask you, like, when you exercise, what's the main function of exercise? And most people think it's to help to lose weight or to build muscle. But the reality is that as you exercise, that actually forces your neurons and your synapses inside your brain to fire. And the idea is that exercise is not so much about your muscles, it's actually about strengthening the synapses inside your brain. So the idea is that the more that you exercise, the stronger those synapses become, so that your brain functions at a higher rate, so that your body can become healthier. A person's physique is a reflection of how strong their brain is. It has nothing to do with how strong their body is. So if a person has a very strong set of arms or legs or whatever you want to say, it's always a reflection of how powerful their brain can send electricity throughout their system, not necessarily a reflection of just how big a person's muscle is. So just training 5 minutes every single day over the course of an entire year really helps to set the strength inside your brain. So people that think about exercise like a lot needs to be done in a short period of time when people exercise, but it's really about a small amount of movement over the course of your entire life makes a dramatic effect, okay? Peace out, everybody. Everyone that's a part of this community is inviting all the subscribers on this YouTube channel to compete in this channel's tournament series, the OG Cup.
Another day, another victory for the OG.
Our 1v1 EDH tournament series is now going to be held on Spell Table and broadcast live on this YouTube channel via the Discord. So if you would like to represent your country and become known around the world as an OG Cup champion, you can join the Discord in the link below and test your skills against some of the amazing players we have in this community.